In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. The first station, the agony of Jesus in the Garden of Olives. We adore you, Christ, and we praise thee.
Then they came to a place named Gethsemane, and he said to his disciples, troubled and distressed, he took with them Peter, James, and John, and began to be troubled and, they came to the place named Gethsemane, and he said to his disciples, sit here while I pray. He took with him Peter, James, and John, and began to be troubled and distressed. Then he said to them, my soul is sorrowful, even to death. Remain here and keep watch. He advanced a little and fell to the ground and prayed that if it were possible, the hour might pass by him. He said, Abba, Father, all things are possible to you. Take this cup away from me, but not what I will, but what you will.
Second station, the betrayal and arrest of Jesus. We adore you, O Christ, and we praise you.
Judas was one of 12, arrived accompanied by a crowd with swords and clubs, who had come from the chief priests, the scribes, and the elders. His betrayer had arranged a signal with them, saying, the man I shall kiss is the one. Arrest him and lead him away securely. He came and immediately went over to him and said, Rabbi, and he kissed him. At this they laid hands on him and arrested him.
Turn back, Lord, rescue my soul. Save me because of your mercy. For in death there is no remembrance of you. Who praises you, you should go. Third station, the Sanhedrin condemns Jesus. We adore you, O Christ, and we praise you.
The chief priests and the entire Sanhedrin kept trying to obtain testimony against Jesus in order to put him to death, but they found none. The high priest rose before the assembly and questioned Jesus, saying, have you no answer? What are these men testifying against you? But he was silent and answered nothing. Again, the high priest asked him and said to him, are you the Messiah, the Son of the Blessed One? Then Jesus answered, I am. You will see the Son of Man seated at the right hand of the power and coming with the clouds of heaven. At that, the high priest priest tore his garments and said, "What further need have we of witnesses?"
I am wearied with sighing. All night long I drenched my bed with tears. I soaked my couch with weeping. My eyes were dimmed with sorrow, worn out because of all my foes. Fourth station, Peter denies Jesus. We adore you, Christ, and we praise you.
While Peter was below in the courtyard, one of the high priest's maids came along. Seeing Peter warming himself, she looked intently at him and said, "You too were with the Nazarene Jesus." But he denied it, saying, I neither know nor understand what you're talking about. So he went out into the outer court. Then the cock crowed. The maid saw him and again began to say to the bystanders, "This man is one of them." Once again he denied it. A little later, the bystanders said to Peter once more, "Surely you are one of them, for you too are a Galilean." He began to curse and to swear, "I do not know this man about whom you're talking." And immediately a cock crowed a second time. Then Peter remembered the word that Jesus had said to him, "Before the cock crows twice, you will deny me 3 times." He broke down and wept.
The Lord has heard the sound of my weeping. The Lord has heard my plea. The Lord will receive my prayer. My foes will all be disgraced and will shudder greatly. They will turn back in sudden disgrace. The fifth station, Pilate condemns Jesus to the cross. We adore you, Christ, and we praise you.
As soon as morning came, the chief priests with the elders and the scribes, that is, the whole Sanhedrin, held a council. They bound Jesus, they led him away, and they handed him over to Pilate. Now on the occasion of the feast, he used to release to them one prisoner who they requested. A man called Barabbas was then in prison, along with the rebels who had committed murder in a rebellion. The crowd came forward and began to ask him to do for them as he was accustomed. Pilate answered, "Do you want me to release to you the King of the Jews?" For he knew that it was out of envy that the chief priest had handed him over. But the chief priest stirred up the crowd to have him release Barabbas to them instead. Pilate again said to them in reply, "Then what do you want me to do with the man you call the King of the Jews?" They shouted again, "Crucify him!" Pilate said to them, "Why? What evil has he done?" They only shouted the louder, "Crucify him!" So Pilate, wishing to satisfy the crowd, released Barabbas to them, and after he had Jesus scourged, handed him over to be crucified.
Out of the depths I call to you, Lord. Lord, hear my cry. May your ears be attentive to my cry for mercy. If you, Lord, will keep account of sins, Lord, you can stand. With you is forgiveness, and so you are revered. Sixth station, Jesus is scourged and crowned with thorns. We adore you, Christ, and we praise you.
Then Pilate took Jesus and had him scourged, and the soldiers wove a crown out of thorns and placed it on his head, and clothed him in a purple cloak. And they came to him and said, "Hail, King of the Jews!" And they struck him repeatedly.
I wait for the Lord, my soul waits, and I hope for his word. My soul looks for the Lord, more than sentinels for daybreak. Seventh station, Jesus is mocked by the soldiers and given his cross. We adore you, Christ, and we praise you.
The soldiers led him away inside the palace, that is, the praetorium, and assembled the whole cohort. They began to salute him, and kept striking his head with a reed and spitting upon him. They knelt before him in homage, and when they had mocked him, they stripped him of his purple cloak, dressed him in his own clothes, and led him out to be crucified.
More than sentinels for daybreak, let Israel hope in the Lord. For with the Lord is mercy, with him is plenteous redemption, and he will redeem Israel from all its sins. Station, Simon the Cyrenian helps Jesus carry his cross. We adore you, Christ, and we praise you.
They pressed into service a passerby, Simon a Cyrenian, who was coming in from the country, the father of Alexander and Rufus, to carry his cross.
Because I kept silent, my bones wasted away. I groaned all day long, for day and night your hand was heavy upon me. My strength withered as in dry summer heat. Then I declared my sin to you. My guilt I did not hide. I said, I confessed my transgression to the Lord, and you took away the guilt of my sin. Ninth station, we adore you, Christ, and we praise you.
A large crowd of people followed Jesus, including many women who mourned and lamented him. Jesus turned to them and said, "Daughters of Jerusalem, do not weep for me. Instead, for yourselves and for your children."
Lord, do not punish me in your anger. In your wrath, do not chastise me. Your arrows are sunk deep in me. Your hand has come down upon me. Tenth station, Jesus is crucified. We adore your Christ and we praise you.
Because by your holy cross you have saved the world. They brought him to the place called Golgotha, which is translated place of the skull. They gave him wine drugged with myrrh, but he did not take it. Then they crucified him and divided his garments by casting lots for them to see what each should take. My
Lord, my deepest yearning is before you. My groaning is not hidden from you. My heart shudders, my strength forsakes me. The very light of my eyes has failed. Friends and companions shun my disease. My neighbors stand far off. The 11th station, Jesus promises paradise to the penitent criminal. We adore your Christ and we praise you.
When they came to the place called the Skull, they crucified him and the criminals there, one on his right and the other on his left. Now one of the criminals hanging there reviled Jesus, saying, "Are you not the Messiah? Save yourself and us." The other, however, rebuking him, said in reply, "Have you no fear of God, for you are subject to the same condemnation. And indeed, we have been condemned justly, for the sentence we received corresponds to our crimes, but this man has done nothing wrong."
Have mercy on me, God, in accord with your merciful love. In your abundant compassion, blot out my transgressions. Thoroughly wash away my guilt, and from my sin cleanse me. You will let me hear gladness and joy. The bones you have crushed will rejoice. The 12th station, Jesus speaks to his mother and to his disciple. We adore you, Christ, and we praise you.
Standing by the cross of Jesus were his mother and his mother's sister Mary, the wife of Clopas, and Mary of Magdala. When Jesus saw his mother and the disciple there whom he loved, he said to his mother, "Woman, behold your son." Then he said to the disciple, "Behold your mother." And from that hour the disciple took her into his home.
Hasten to come unto me, Lord, for my spirit fails me. Do not hide your face from me, sending to the pit. In the morning, let me hear your mercies, for in you I trust. Show me the path I should walk, and I trust my life in you. The 13th station, Jesus dies on the cross. We adore you, Christ, and we praise you.
At noon, darkness came over the whole land until 3 in the afternoon. And at 3 o'clock, Jesus cried out in a loud voice, Elijah, Elijah, lema sabachthani, which is translated, my God, why have you forsaken me? Some of the bystanders who heard it said, look, he's calling Elijah. One of them ran, soaked a sponge with the wine, put it on a reed, gave it to him to drink, saying, wait, let us see if Elijah comes and take him down. Jesus gave a loud cry and breathed his last.
My God, why do you abandon me? Why so far from my call for help, from my cries of anguish? My God, I call by day, but you do not answer. By night, but I have no relief. The 14th station, the burial of Jesus. We adore you, Christ, and we praise you.
When it was already evening, since it was the day of preparation, the day before the Sabbath, Joseph of Arimathea, a distinguished member of the council, who was himself awaiting the kingdom of God, courageously went to Pilate and asked for the body of Jesus. Pilate was amazed that he was already dead. He summoned the centurion and asked him if Jesus had already died. And when he learned of it from the centurion, he gave the body to Joseph. Having bought a linen cloth, he took him down, wrapped him in the linen cloth, and laid him in the tomb that had been hewn out of the rock. Then he rolled a stone against the entrance